This is a movie that many film moguls don't want to explain. It topped the North American box office on its opening day. The unique way the monster appears in the film became a childhood nightmare for countless fans. It's the movie adapted from the game Silent Hill. The scene opens with high energy as Little Shaw sleepwalks for the 365th time. She wobbles on a cliff, murmuring, "Silent Hill." Below the waterfall, her eyes see a burning steel world. A girl who looks like her is calling her. Just as Little Shaw is about to jump, her mother arrives in time. Little Shaw struggles in pain but still calls out, "Silent Hill." To find out the truth, Rose hides it from her husband and decides to take Little Shaw to Silent Hill to investigate. At night, while refueling, Rose sees a scary comic her daughter drew, but Little Shaw doesn't recall it. A female cop notices their argument and records Rose's license plate. As they head to Silent Hill, sirens blare behind them. The cop has followed them. Taking a child on a deserted road at night raises the cop's suspicions. When Rose stops to check, she sees a sign pointing to Silent Hill. She floors the gas pedal, successfully shaking off the cop, and heads down the road to Silent Hill. As she speeds up, the car's stereo emits a piercing noise, scaring her daughter into screaming. Rose tries to turn off the stereo, and suddenly a little girl's figure appears ahead. To avoid the girl, Rose swerves, losing control and crashing into the guardrail. Meanwhile, her husband can't reach Rose. He accidentally sees the search history on the computer. Silent Hill is known as a famous American ghost town. A past fire burned all the residents to death, and the underground fire still burns. Her husband suddenly has a bad feeling. When Rose wakes from unconsciousness, she finds snowflakes falling. Her daughter, who was in the passenger seat, is nowhere to be found. Rose quickly gets out to look for her daughter. He doesn't realize he's already in Silent Hill's boundary. When the snowflakes land on Rose's face, he realizes they're actually ashes from burning objects. The road sign shows Silent Hill's location. The whole town is shrouded in fog, looking like a ghost town. At this moment, Rose vaguely sees a figure resembling her daughter and rushes after it. He follows the girl to a narrow staircase. As the air raid siren sounds, Rose officially enters Silent Hill's inner world. The sky suddenly turns dark. Rose uses the light from a lighter to continue searching for his daughter. He has no idea what's about to happen. The dark, damp environment mixed with the sound of metal clashing makes Rose feel uneasy. He suddenly discovers a corpse tied to a wire fence. Upon closer inspection, the person is still alive. The eerie scene leaves Rose at a loss. He is unaware of the danger approaching from behind. Rose screams in fright and is surrounded by bald monsters. He desperately searches for an exit to escape but has his clothes torn off by the monsters. Not far away, hundreds of monsters rise like zombies. Rose quickly crashes through an iron door and hides in a room. Despite his efforts to escape, he cannot evade the monsters. Just as Rose loses hope, the monster before him suddenly ignites and turns to ashes. Rose faints from fright. When he wakes up, the surroundings. At the end, it turned into a foggy scene again. She wanted to leave this creepy place quickly, but was shocked to find the road to Silent Hill had collapsed into a bottomless cliff. The scene before her plunged her into despair. At this moment, a crazy woman appeared behind her, also searching for her daughter like Rose. Seemingly familiar with everything here, Rose quickly took out a photo of her daughter to ask the crazy woman. Upon seeing the photo of little Sharon, the woman lost control, insisting Sharon was her child. Rose pushed the woman away and quickly escaped. Finding her car, she tried calling her husband but couldn't get through, leaving a message saying she was trapped in Silent Hill. Then, Rose saw the school mentioned by her daughter, guessing it was a clue. As she was about to drive to the school, the car wouldn't start. Just then, a policewoman appeared with a gun, having followed Rose to Silent Hill. When the policewoman found the little girl missing, she thought Rose had harmed her and immediately handcuffed Rose, planning to take her back to the station. Seeing the motorcycle crashed on the roadside, it turned out the policewoman also had an accident. As they continued forward, they found the road had turned into a cliff, so she had to take Rose another way. The policewoman suddenly saw a figure beyond the barbed wire. As it approached, it turned out to be a skeletal monster. The policewoman aimed her gun for safety. The monster sprayed corrosive liquid. She swiftly took off her helmet. While the monster distracted the policewoman, Rose slipped away to find her daughter. Meanwhile, her husband, hearing Rose's voicemail, rushed to Silent Hill, only to find the entrance blocked by police. Rose's car was wrecked at the bridge, with no sign of Rose or their daughter. The husband hoped the sheriff would help him enter Silent Hill to find his wife. But when they reached the town, it was not the foggy scene like where Rose was. From their conversation, it was revealed the sheriff had lived there since childhood and was the only survivor of a past fire. Meanwhile, Rose, following the road signs, found the school from the comic, resembling her daughter. Rose hurriedly chased after the girl, following her to the school bathroom. The girl vanished again, leaving only the sound of crying from a stall. Rose opened each stall door, searching until he opened the last one and was overwhelmed by a nauseating sight. A twisted corpse was bound with wire. Rose was shocked to find a black arrow on the wall pointing to the corpse's mouth. Braving his discomfort, Rose retrieved a blue block from the mouth. As he left the bathroom, he encountered several masked figures who began pounding on the door. Rose could only pray helplessly. Suddenly, a bird in a cage started acting up, prompting the masked figures to leave with the cage. As the siren blared, darkness engulfed the area. The bathroom walls peeled, turning into a steel-like realm. Rose witnessed an unforgettable scene, with the bound corpse in the bathroom. The corpse came to life, its legs tied over its head, crawling in a bizarre manner. Vines from its hands extended throughout the space, and toxic bubbles on the ground released countless scarabs. Terrified, Rose fled, finding the stairs lined with corpse remnants. As she reached the first floor, scarabs surrounded the area, and the masked figures were attacked by them. Rose quickly hid in another room, seeing the girl sitting at a desk, frantically drawing on a comic. He glanced at Rose, and she suddenly fell into a barbed wire trap, struggling to get up. A three-legged monster with an iron head enters, brandishing a 3-meter machete. Ross, fit and strong, runs away as her husband and the sheriff reach the school. In different time spaces, Ross and her husband miss each other. Ross falls to the ground, crying in despair, as scarabs swarm around her. At a crucial moment, a female officer arrives, pulling Ross into a room. As they shut the door, a scarab slips in, but the officer stomps it. Ross quickly grabs an iron bar, and together they barricade the door. Before they can catch their breath, the sound of metal scraping is heard outside. The machete suddenly breaks through the door, and the triangular monster launches a fierce attack, slicing a large hole in the iron door. Scarabs swarm in. The monster tries to open the door. The officer shoots, but the monster ignores the bullets. They feel like lambs to slaughter, but unexpectedly, the monster halts, and the scarabs turn to ash. The surroundings begin to restore, transforming back into a foggy world. Ross pulls out a blue wooden block, pointing them to a hotel. They arrive to find two women arguing. One is the madwoman from the cliff, the other a local named Anna. Anna tells them others are hiding in the church, coming out to scavenge when the darkness recedes. The officer finds a girl's comic in locker number 1. Ross guesses the locker number represents a room number. Sure enough, they see the girl in room 1, who looks just like Ross's daughter, Shasha. She must be the madwoman's child. Ross wants to ask about her daughter's whereabouts, but the girl spreads her arms, ignites in flames, and vanishes. Suddenly, countless birds fly into the sky. Anna, terrified, flees, as it seems the dark world is about to strike again, accompanied by an air raid siren. The siren blares as Anna leads them to the church to hide from the monster. Ross suddenly stops, noticing the symbol above the church matches the one in her daughter's comic. The officer sees a crowd emerging from the fog, rushing into the church. The madwoman blocks the officer, warning her not to trust these deceivers, or they'll doom them all. Ross questions the madwoman about why the girl looks like Shasha. The madwoman only says the girl seeks revenge. Soon, darkness envelops the area. The madwoman points at Anna, and the triangular monster appears behind her. Anna screams as the monster drags her toward the church, tearing her apart in front of everyone. The officer pulls Ross into the church. People accuse Ross of being a witch, trying to drive them out. The officer fires her gun to calm the chaos. The priest Bella intervenes, calming the dispute and leading a solemn prayer. A holy light emerges, dispelling the church's darkness. The scene shifts to Ross's husband, who finds nothing and leaves Silent Hill. Under the cover of night, he sneaks into the archives, finding records of the town's fire. The files include a photo of a girl identical to Shasha. Since Shasha is their adopted child, he goes to the orphanage to ask the nun about Shasha's origins. The nun seems reluctant to reveal the truth. Just then, the sheriff appears, telling Ross's husband that the girl in the photo, named Alessa, died the night of the fire, but she wasn't. Not dying in a fire, but tortured to death by cultists. The scene returns to the church where Rose asks Bella about her daughter's whereabouts. Bella says only the devil knows where your daughter is. To find her, you must face the devil alone. In a child's eyes, a mother is like God, so Rose will stop at nothing to save her daughter. The cultists bring her to a hospital where the devil's lair is underground at 15. Rose remembers the devil's location. Holding a flashlight, she's about to enter the elevator when Bella suddenly sees a photo of Rose's daughter. Luckily, the policewoman reacts quickly and successfully covers for Rose as she enters the elevator. The elevator quickly descends into a dark, steel world as the policewoman is overpowered by the cultists. Rose arrives underground and searches for the devil's room from memory. As she passes the final corridor, she freezes in place. This scene in Silent Hill leaves countless movie fans in awe. Faceless nurses sense the light source and begin to awaken, turning in unison towards Rose. Terrified, Rose freezes as she sees the nurses holding various knives. As they get closer, Rose quickly turns off the flashlight, causing the nurses to stop moving. Holding her breath, she sneaks past them, cleverly using the flashlight's beam to distract them. Rose rushes towards room 15, where in a blinding white light, a little girl reveals the truth. 30 years ago, Alessa was mocked as a witch at school. She grew up without a father, and everyone said she was the devil's child. Unable to bear the insults, Alessa hid in the school bathroom, only to encounter a perverted janitor. Her powerless mother couldn't do anything about her daughter's assault. At this moment, Bella suddenly appears, telling the woman that purification is necessary. Alessa's body and soul. In reality, Bella had ulterior motives. The mother believed her and handed her daughter over to Bella, who gathered a large group of followers to tie Alessa to a pyre. Unexpectedly, the chains broke, accidentally toppling the furnace, causing the fire that year. The cultists fled, but one police officer bravely saved the barely alive Alessa. She was the sheriff who survived the fire. Severely burned, Alessa was taken to an underground hospital for treatment. Her fear and pain gradually turned into resentment. A curious nurse who glanced at her was remembered by Alessa. Over time, her resentment grew, splitting into a dark version of Alessa. The emergence of Dark Alessa gave her evil powers and created 3 different worlds of Silent Hill. Rose's husband is in the real world, while the foggy and monster-filled worlds represent the surface and inner worlds. After hearing Dark Alessa's story, Rose finally understands the truth. In room 15, a bed appears with the burned Alessa lying on it, and the nurse has been caring for her all along. Dark Alessa enters the room. Rose inquires about her daughter, but Dark Alessa replies that she is not her child. She is the last bit of goodness from Alessa, transformed. It was Dark Alessa who sent little Alessa to the orphanage in the real world, where Rose and her husband adopted her. Dark Alessa brought Rose here to complete her revenge plan. But Bella and the cultists are protected by the church, so Dark Alessa can't enter directly and must use Rose's body. The cultists have captured Alessa, and she will soon be destroyed like the original. To save her daughter, Rose agreed to Dark Alessa's request to possess her. The camera shows Nurse Alessa, who had destroyed her glasses. Inside the church, the officer was tied to a stake. Bella incited followers, claiming they were witches and burning them would defeat the devil. The officer was burned alive. Next was Sharon. Rose returned just in time. Seeing the charred officer, he couldn't believe it. He exposed Bella's lies, saying they died in a fire 30 years ago. Their souls were trapped in a foggy world, and burning Sharon wouldn't purify them. Bella worshipped a fallen angel and needed people with negative emotions. So, Bella spread rumors, accusing Alessa of being the devil's child. This led to Alessa being bullied. When the time was right, Bella manipulated followers to sacrifice Alessa. Seeing them waver, Bella stabbed Rose, who fell. Her blood merged with the church, and the black blood melted the altar, transforming it into a dark world. Once gone, Rose's wound healed. Alessa's revenge began. Wires lifted a bed, carrying Alessa into the church. Followers fled, but wires ensnared Bella, lifting her. Wires pierced Bella, and none were spared. Dark Alessa danced in the blood rain. Rose rescued her daughter. She covered Sharon's eyes, waiting for the revenge to end, but Sharon opened her eyes. The sight of Dark Alessa frightened Sharon into fainting. After the revenge, everyone disappeared, leaving only the madwoman. Alessa didn't harm her mother. Sharon gave a strange look, and then Rose and her daughter returned to the car. The car started normally. As they drove past the cliff, the road returned to normal. Rose called her husband, but he could only hear a voicemail. Rose brought her daughter home, but the house was still in a foggy world. Her husband could sense her but couldn't see them. At the movie's end, Sharon showed a mysterious expression. Her body had been taken over by Dark Alessa, and she didn't let Rose return to reality to have Rose's love all to herself. Thus, the first Silent Hill movie ends here.